Good evening, everyone. My name is Rick Pierce. I'm president of the chamber that serves Middletown, Monroe, and Trenton. Our moderator this evening is Lenny Robinson. He's been doing this for years for us. The questions are derived from the Government Relations Committee of the chamber. We got quite a library of questions in the past. We obviously filter through those occasionally because some problems have been solved. So there will be no street questions because the streets are getting paved. The candidates, we have shared with them the topics that are going to be covered, but they do not get the questions. So candidates, I would like to thank and congratulate each and every one of you for putting yourself out there to be elected. It is no easy task, so best of luck to all of you. Thank you for being here. Good luck. And Lenny, it's all yours.
Thank you, Rick. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, candidates. And the first thing I'd like to tell you, and we talked about this before we went on the air, is the 5 of you who are running, you are all to be commended, congratulated, and given a hearty pat on the back, because running for any office, it is one of the greatest public services that you can do. You are all here because you care about the city of Middletown, you care about its future, you also care about its past. You care about what happens with our kids, with our adults, what happens to this community. If it were not for people like you, who knows where we would be. So all of you, I give you my congratulations, along with everybody with the Chamber of Commerce, because what you are doing here is pretty cool. When you look around the country and then you look around the world, and you're going to be part of the government for the city of Middletown, making decisions, challenging decisions, looking at budgets, challenging budgets, everything you're going to be doing as a city council person, you're going to make an impact. So to be clear, there are 5 candidates running for 2 open seats. We have one incumbent, Joe Mulligan. Amy Vittori is up and she decided not to run. So that's why we have the 2 seats open. So the ground rules, to explain to our audience, there is a 2-minute open for each of you. Then there will be the questions that I will ask, and then we will go to a 2-minute close. It is my job as referee to make sure we stay within the time limit. So if I do happen to cut you off, it is only because of time and nothing more. We'll try to let you finish that thought, but we want to stay on topic. So we will start alphabetically, and we'll introduce first. And Jennifer, I will have you start by introducing yourself. This is Jennifer Carter.
Hello, everyone. I am Jennifer Carter, candidate for Middletown City Council. Thanks to all of you for your presence here today. I was born and raised in Middletown. The need for sustainable growth in our community inspired me to become a candidate. If we revitalize Middletown, if we create a thriving community, then we all will benefit. My platform, entitled Moving Forward with Carter and Community Voices, has etched a picture in my heart. The more I proclaim moving forward with Carter and Community Voices, I am convinced for democracy to work, 3 requirements are involved. Number 1, everyone has a voice. Number 2, transparency. Number 3, continue to promote the greater good for our community. It is my sincere desire to work hard, listen to our council members, experts, and the community to assist in this process. As my associate pastor of United Missionary Baptist Church, Kendall Wright, often shares, what you ignore becomes more. What you tolerate will soon take over. What you challenge will change. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Zack Farrell. Zack?
Yeah, first off, thanks everyone for being here tonight. It's an honor and privilege to be among everyone up here. Honestly, I appreciate the fact that everybody wants to see a better Middletown, and I think everyone in this room is working towards that. So I wake up every day and check my email, check my Facebook messages, the usual, and people ask me, what's my platform? What am I running on? So instead of that, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a child of Middletown, 4th generation Mitty. Got the story. My grandpa was a fireman here, and my grandma worked for the city tax department. Grew up on Stanley Street. My mom, who's in the audience, raised me and my brother. Lost my dad when we were younger. There's a point in our life where we were on government assistance and those types of things. But my mom got off of that, worked 2 jobs, that kind of thing. We didn't have everything growing up, but she taught me 2 things. She taught me the value of hard work, and she taught me if we have a vision, what we can do. You know, I'm not the smartest person in this room. I'm happy to admit that, but I will outwork everybody here. So, why am I running? I just sold my dream house in Madison recently to move back here and make a change. The vision that my mom taught me when I was younger is the same vision I want to bring to Middletown. I had visions of what it can be like with a better childhood education system, investing in the community center, and then what can real estate do? I know we've all heard about Hollywoodland. We also have some ideas on that, and I hope we can discuss that tonight and see how we can add all these things going on in the community, how we can turn those things around, and then make for a better community for everyone.
Thank you. Next, Julia Lewis-Smith.
Good evening. Thank you all for being in attendance tonight. I'm Julia Lewis-Smith, and I'm running for Middletown City Council. As I live, work, and serve in the community, I can't help but to think about my personal journey and the values instilled in me that has cultivated me to be the woman that sits here before you today. You see, being the youngest of 10 children, I have been a witness to and a witness of lack. The lack of resources, the lack of accommodations, the lack of opportunities. The lack is what connects me to the city of Middletown and the people of Middletown. However, it is also because where there was lack, there was a caring community that showed up, that showed concern, and showed me the way. It took a village to raise me, and it still takes a village. And it is my vision to revitalize these values, the value of being accountable, by being visible in the community and opening up communication with the people of Middletown so all voices are represented. The value of support by collaborating and making connections with small business owners, local organizations, clergy, parents, and city leaders. And the value of endurance for our future generation by committing to staying the course even when it gets hard. This is why I am running for Middletown City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Joe Mulligan.
Thank you, Lenny, and thanks to the Chamber for putting this together. It's a great service to the community and the Chamber members. And I appreciate everyone that showed up tonight and those viewing at home. I'm Joe Mulligan. I'm a Middletown City Councilman running for re-election. It's been an honor to serve my hometown in this capacity. I hope to continue leading Middletown's comeback. A little bit about my background. My undergraduate degree was in business marketing, so that took me to a career path in Columbus, Pittsburgh, and then in Dayton, working at television and cable operations and media sales and sales management. In 2008, I decided to switch careers and pursue a law degree. So I enrolled in the University of Dayton School of Law. In May of 2009, they have an accelerated JD program. So within 24 months, if you work hard, you can get a JD 2 years later. And that's what I did. I graduated 5th in my class in May of 2011. That fall, I passed the bar and was a licensed attorney. Since then, I've been working as an attorney in private practice in firms in Middletown and in Dayton. Civil litigation, probate administration, wills and estates, real estate, those types of matters. But I am, again, to switch over to the public service side, I'm seeking re-election because I do think we're making a positive impact on Middletown, and I want to be part of the team that continues to lead it forward. Looking at my track record of the past 10 years, Middletown's attracted $1 billion of new commercial investment. We are growing as a city, 2,300 new residents since the last census. Currently, we're number 4 among Cincinnati area townships and cities for new housing starts. There's more good news. Rick mentioned at his opening remarks, we're reinvesting in our infrastructure. I champion a plan to address our crumbling roads. Over the next 2 years, we're spending $51 million to repave 200 lane miles and 1/3 of our city streets. And that's going to touch every neighborhood in the city and renews the pride in the community.
Right,
thank you.
Rodney Muterspaw.
Yeah, I'm Rodney Muterspaw, and I'm running for council. First of all, thank you everybody for coming, and thanks to the Chamber for having this. Really, I'm just going to speak from the heart. I don't write out speeches. I never have. I get asked a lot, and especially in the last month, why you? Why are you running for council, and why are you the best candidate? Well, first, I can't promise you that I am the best candidate. What I can promise you is I'm going to give you 110% of energy and passion that I gave the city for almost 30 years. And that's undeniable. I had an open door policy that's never changed even after I retired. I still listen to the people, and that's important. As why as I'm running, because the community has asked me to run. Think the messages, the text messages, the Facebook stuff, everybody says we need change, and so that's why I'm running. That's the only reason. I have no agenda. You are my agenda. I don't own anything other than my house. I don't own any businesses. I don't own any properties, just my home. I'm strictly focused on what we can do to make the city better. One thing that I just really want to reiterate is you know me. You know me. With me, you know what you're going to get. I'm going to be vocal. I'm going to be direct. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything when it comes to the city of Middletown. I'm also asked quite often, is your whole agenda public safety? That's a big part of it, because public safety here is awful. First time in history we had to cancel a football game and move it out to Cincinnati. But you don't hear council or the manager ever talk about increasing public safety. That's a problem, and we have to get that addressed immediately. In the last year, I'm a real estate agent now, I've moved out 15 families from Middletown to Monroe, Trenton, or Franklin in Springboro. 15 families. That's not people just living in an apartment, that's families. And when I always ask them why, Middletown's not Middletown anymore. And it breaks my heart because I live here, my family lives here, I love it, love everything about it. We have to change that perception, because outside of us, what's going on is people are looking at us like, what's going on there? And we have to change that. There's ways to do that. There's ways to do that. There's some great things going on with economic development, but I'll tell you right now, everything's connected, and we've got to put it all together or it's not going to work. It's a critical time for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's begin our first question. We'll begin with Zack Ferrell. Zack, it's not unusual to have former police chiefs serve on Middletown City Commission or Middletown City Council. First two names that come to mind in recent memory, Bill Becker, and before him, Earl Smith. One of tonight's candidates, Rodney Muterspaw, is a former chief of police, the most recently retired chief of police. Having said that, if he were to win, what is your opinion, and if you were to win, that should a former chief of police vote on police budgets or other police matters?
In my mind, the perfect city council has one part of the city in it. So everybody up here should have their own specialty. I know real estate. I think I know real estate better than anybody here, just for the fact of I've sold more houses. I know why people are leaving. I know why they're coming. So why wouldn't we have a seasoned veteran? It's something that's so important here. It doesn't make sense not to have them up here. It's experience. You cannot replace experience. You cannot replace the things that people run in that they know. So yes, I think it's important, and it's something. Public safety, as Rodney said, we can't even have football games here right now. So we need to get back to working on infrastructure for those things.
All right, thank you. Julia Lewis-Smith, I'll ask you the same question. Should a former police chief vote for or should abstain from matters involving the police department and budgets?
Well, actually, I think that he should vote for. It is, again, his expertise. He spent 30 years dedicating his life to Middletown and in public safety. Why not draw on his strengths? A team is not a team if you don't recognize the strength of each member and the weakness of each member. And that's where we collaborate together to come to a consensus of what's right when we're making decisions. And if Rodney has that experience, I believe that it would be best to turn to him during those times of decision making. I, being a teacher, would like to have input on education because, like Zack said, he feels he knows more about real estate than most of us. I feel the same when it comes to education. And Rodney it would be a miss for us not to include his input.
Joe Mulligan, I'm going to kind of ask you the same kind of question, but excuse the chief of police and let's substitute real estate people or educators or attorneys. You happen to be one. Should an attorney vote on legal matters for the city? Or should you be reelected? Does it matter to you if real estate people vote on real estate issues for the city of Middletown? Is there a line to be drawn?
I think not. I mean, as long as their votes, their discussion, their input comports with Ohio ethics rules, there would be no issue. For me, council has always been a board of directors for the city, and we set policy, we set strategy, we allow the professionals, the city manager, and his department heads to execute. And the contracts that come before us would have been vetted through the department heads, through outside counsel, inside counsel. But no, I don't think there would be any conflict as long as it comports with the Ohio ethics rules.
Rodney Muterspaw, same question. Do you feel a need, being a former chief of police, do you abstain? Do you vote for?
The key word is former. If I was still a police officer, it might be different. I'm not. I don't work here anymore. I haven't in 2 years. The thing too, though, is I can look at that a step further, is people on council currently now vote on issues downtown that affect them because they own businesses downtown. Don't see how that's any different. So one thing I will tell you is you're not going to come, nobody's going to come up to the dais there and fool me on public safety. That's the difference. And public safety is not just police. I want to make that clear. It's fire and it's public works. People forget public works when it comes to public safety. They're a huge part of public safety when it comes to roads and streets and things like that. To me, the most important part of public safety, other than the police, is medics and firemen, and we have to address those issues too. But no, I don't see a problem with that. I have to agree with Joe. You know, if Ohio ethics is fine with it, I'm fine with it.
And finally, I'm going to come to you, Jennifer, on the aspect of, should a person's professional resume prohibit them from voting on, or should they rather abstain from an issue if you're on council and someone else is on council and it's in their wheelhouse professionally? Should they abstain or should they vote for? What would be your opinion?
My opinion is, what better person to vote, to understand the needs for the community, is someone who's worked in the community and worked for the community. And so public safety, yes, no, I don't think he should abstain.
Okay. Now we'll move on to Julia Lewis-Smith. I'm going to throw this question to you because you are an educator. And the citizens of Middletown have done their part in the past supporting the city in multiple ways. They've passed the street levy. They've also passed the school bond issue. We've got new schools throughout the city of Middletown that are second to none. And so the people of Middletown have also supported the senior citizens. This is a proud community. And when you look around and you see how people are looking and they vote with their pocketbooks, and we've passed a number of levies. There's a new levy coming up, public service for fire, next year. You know, residents and businesses are not big fans of passing levies, but the citizens of Middletown have stepped up and voted when it counts. So knowing that people are not big fans of spending more money, what would be your strategy as a city council person to increase revenues for the city if you're looking outside of tax levies?
That's a great question. First of all, I would put it to the table. City council is made up of members. I personally would not take on that task without collaborating and communicating with my members, as well as having a consensus of doing the right thing for all involved. Far as bringing revenue, I would like to see more neighborhood stores, more entrepreneurship, especially in the communities that where it used to be at, where I learned about entrepreneurship and about budgeting, about how to spend my dollar from the local neighborhood stores. I feel like that is something that we're missing, but was something of value in the community.
All right, Mr. Mulligan, let's move on to you. Instead of using levies, which Middletown has passed, what do you see as Middletown's future in increasing its revenue?
Well, the city is funded mainly on income tax, so that means job creation, job retention is key. Over the past, prior to the pandemic, we had 7 straight years of increased income tax collection. That means more people are working here, more employers are confident about hiring here. So we're on the right path that way, but we always have to be looking for the future. So it comes down to incentives for small businesses. We've done a nice job of deploying some assets in the form of grants. For larger businesses like Phoenix Metals, they're going to be adding, I believe, third to their workforce in their new location in Made Industrial Park. Our economic development team has put together a package that will build a road in Made Industrial Park, and that's going to open up some additional acreage for heavy industrial use or light industrial use in that area, and that's more job creation in the city. But it comes down to creating jobs, retaining them, and supporting employers.
Rodney, Muterspaw, the same question, but let's take a little bit different spin. We've heard about creating new jobs, creating new businesses. Is the city of Middletown in the business, in your opinion, getting to be partners with business? And if they are, what is the partnership consisting of?
Well, I think they're doing a good job with it, actually. I can tell you with the Economic Development Department, I think they're knocking out of the park on certain things. They're doing a fine job. As council, you can't make these decisions. You hire the best people possible, and you get out of their way. And then you monitor and you oversee what they're doing. As far as the business, like the new Small Business Alliance, I think it's a great thing that the city's doing with small businesses, because small business is the backbone of any community. Our coffee shops, our barbecue joints, our haircut places, whatever, that's what drives the city. These partnerships have to be sustained with city help, whether it's through grants, and they've done a good job with that, but the correct answer is just get the best possible people that you can, pay them what they're worth, get them here, and they can bring business here, and council can oversee and approve it. I think that's what you're seeing throughout the city right now.
Jennifer Carter, the question to you is, if the city of Middletown is going to partner with small business, what should the city expect in return?
I'm not sure. You know, I think one of the things that I find that would benefit the city is to encourage vocational training. We encourage people to go to college, but vocational training like plumbing, electricians, carpenters, brick masons, and with that training, they could bring in the revenue because there'll be people from the community reaching out. And the city would be able to respond to that in a bit more positive way because there will be employment.
All right. Zach Farrell, same question to you. What's the city's role in working with trying to attract new revenue, and how do you do that in a partnership?
I think it's a very complicated question because, first off, like Rodney said, we do need to hire top talent and get out of their way. That should be the first job of a government in a lot of things. Something we have to think about is the people. It starts with the people. Middletown has always been a people community. People, it's purple blood here. And I'll give this example. Daniel Million, who owns AMS Construction Parts, buddy of mine. He employs almost 60 people in Middletown. He's in his 30s, and he started his business with $3,200. He got laid off from his job, and he started a business, started in his basement, and it kind of went from there. And he was looking at different places across, this area, and was going to go to a place in Franklin in the industrial area. And he said it just didn't feel right. So he bought the old driving range down on Main Street, put a ton of money into it, took an eyesore, made it look really nice. We need to start incentivizing the young people to do that.
All right, thank you. Now let's move on. Joe Mulligan. Generally, city council sets policy and a course that the city manager and city staff are expected to carry out. We've heard about hire the best people and bring in and tap that asset. But when changes occur in the top administration, not just specifically one person, but you hire people in that are good at what they do, and the city has charted a course from the council members, what would be your strategy to ensure that continuity remains on that current path during such changes? I mean, if you've got changes at the top and you've set a path, how do you ensure that that path is followed by new people?
Well, we do have a document, now it's in draft form, but it's pretty close to final, the master plan. And that's something that, the old one is 2005, so it's been about 15, 16 years since we've had an updated master plan. But that guides us as far as land use, as far as initiatives, certain projects. So things like economic development, they don't have to take a pause if there's a change at the top. We're always going to be recruiting new business. The master plan is something that will be executed over the next 10 years. You think about opportunities like the Oakland Historic District, the Riverfront, further west, Highlands Historic District, redeveloping housing in the old Roosevelt site and the old Lincoln site, and then moving out to the highway, the town mall, keeping those relationships going with other entities. Warren County and the Warren County Port Authority is a partner in the town mall redevelopment. So I think the inertia of government continues, and you just follow that plan, because don't let that collect dust. Yeah.
Rodney Muterspaw, the same question to you. How do you have changes in top administration? As a council member, what do you do to ensure that the path chosen is the one that everyone stays on?
Because, well, I'll tell you, it's a practical answer, is government is not dollar-driven, it's people-driven. Communication is the key. I mean, we had changes recently in the last year and a half. Community was unaware of any changes. I can tell you from talking to people, nobody volunteered to go out to these churches and talk to people in any of the wards. It was a lack of communication. I can tell you the police department, the fire department, Public Works did not get a visit from anybody at the top for months after they were brought here to take over. That's a problem. So immediately you lose lack of trust. You have this disconnect that has happened. And that's why you saw the division you saw at council Tuesday night. And this is a people business. This is not a dollar-driven business. And government needs to be in the people business. And as council, you have to make sure whoever you hire and appoint, that's going to be the case, if they're going to be out there in the public every day making it work. That's the only way government works, because there's so much lack of trust in government right now.
Jennifer Carter, same question to you. You are on council, and you've selected this path with your council members, change in administration, and you've got new people coming in there. What do you do as a council member to make sure that the path, your vision, is being followed by new people?
Make sure they understand the policy. But I feel that once people are inside there working, that they would understand better what's going on. And when the heads change, a lot of times the rules change, and people do certain things that that fits their agenda. So make sure that the policy is followed that you've set up.
Zack, Farrell, the question to you is, you've charted that course. You have new administrators in, but now they come to you with some changes that they're suggesting. What do you do?
First thing you want to do is listen. That's the key here. That's what's wrong in politics. That's what's wrong in a lot of city government and so many more things in this world. We were given 2 ears, one mouth. Just because it wasn't the original plan, what if it's a better plan? Everybody wakes up every day with an idea of what they're going to do with their day. I know I do, but things happen. We have to go a different course sometimes. But sometimes that course is going to be better. So first, it's a simple answer. It's just listen.
Same question, Julia Lewis-Smith. You've got this chart or course charted, and new administrators come in, new personnel, and they're coming in with a different vision than yours. What do you do?
Well, kind of a mixture between what Rodney and Zack said. First of all, is communication. Policy making requires political wisdom, diplomacy, and prudence to bring a diverse community interest together around a shared purpose. And yes, we know sometimes and oftentimes it's incoherent and is disorderly. And yet it is the destiny of a community's dreams and aspirations. With that being said, we should all have a common goal. First, it should be to communicate. Second is to collaborate, and then commit to whatever decision that we decide as a team. It's not, one person doesn't make up a team. And that's my take on it.
All right. We're going to go on to a new topic now. I'll start with Rodney Muterspaw. And we've seen a lot of communities around us continue to grow with new business and new residents. You touched upon that topic of helping families move out of town. What do you see the barriers for the city of Middletown, and why can't we experience similar growth?
Can I have 15 minutes for this one?
You have 60 seconds.
Thanks, Lenny.
Talk fast.
I'm going to go back to what I just said earlier. People are leaving, and we have high compared to Hamilton, but the Trenton, Monroe, Springburn, all these, that's where they're going. They're leaving because the barriers are people do not feel safe here, number one. And sometimes people at the top forget they don't live in a neighborhood that has a crack house or a meth house across from them. And so when you call the police department or a medic and you can't get them there, or we have to use Monroe when your house is burning, or when your spouse is having a heart attack or a stroke, and we have to use Monroe or Franklin to come in because we don't have the people, that's a barrier. That's a huge barrier. A safe city is a welcoming city, and right now we don't have that. We just don't. And everybody that I talk to in the community, that's what they want. They just want a safe city more than anything. So that'd be the number one barrier. I can go all day, but I don't have the time. The other thing is housing. Our housing crisis is awful. We have B&B rents charging people $2,000 for a $500 a month house. Good, hardworking people cannot get ahead. They just can't do it. And that's another barrier we're facing.
Jennifer Carter, same question to you. What is the barrier for Middletown compared with Monroe, Trenton, other communities that are seeing growth?
I spoke with a few people in the community, and the first thing they said was financial literacy. Knowing how to spend their money, knowing how to acquire loans, and credit cards. I had one tell me that they got this credit card and they thought it was just free. And I said, no, you got to pay for it. So I think financial literacy is one of the main barriers for success in Middletown.
Okay. Move that same question to you, Zack Farrell. What are the barriers for growth in Middletown?
There's many. First, safety. I agree with Rodney there. Once again, we can't even have a football game here. It's crazy to me. It's not the Middletown I grew up in 10 years ago. All my friends have left, or most of them. And I said, I'm going to lead the way. I'm going to come back and try to do what I can for this city. I'm not going to be able to do it by myself, but I'm going to try to start that. So that's first. I've had probably 25 people move out of Middletown the last year, and people blame it on the schools and they blame it on the opportunity. I think a lot of it's just Middletown needs to come together as a community. We have 50,000 people here. The people that are here, a lot of them love it, a vast majority. We need to come together and just work together. There's plenty of things we can do with opportunity and businesses and offer tax breaks to small businesses to come here, but really it's just working together as a community.
Thank you. And Julia Lewis-Smith.
Well, anything divided against itself can't stand. And Middletown is divided. We have a social economic divide, we have a racial divide, and there's a relational divide. A relational divide from city council and the community because of lack of visibility and accountability. We have a divide from public safety in the community because of lack of trust. We have a divide from resources and the people that need them because of a lack of communication. We have a divide between addicts and sober living homes, homelessness to shelters, to small businesses, to funding and opportunity because of a lack of collaboration. And there is a divide between our children and a promising future because of a lack of experience in a foundation of village values and a lack of commitment from us. We are divided.
Joe Mulligan, last word on this.
Well, I guess I take exception to the thing, what are the barriers to growth? Well, we are growing. I mean, we're growing at a 2,300 residents since the last census, so I think people are speaking with their pocketbooks and they're investing in homes here. Just this year, we've had permits pulled for building homes, $24 million. Commercial permits, $25 million were just through August or September of this year. So people are investing here. For every family that moves out, I assume there's a buyer that's moving in. So I guess I take exception to that. I mean, we are investing in public safety. That's key. We want all parts of the community to feel safe and welcoming. We are adding back staff as we can, as the budget allows. Community-oriented policing was implemented, and we hope that will have a positive impact. That's recent. But the other thing is fighting crime, but through the demolition of abandoned and blighted homes. They were attracting vagrants and criminal activity. and it was important to support those neighborhoods in that way.
Cut you off right there. All right, let's move on to another question. And a couple of years ago, I was one of the members of a Middletown housing study. Was a broad community spectrum of people working on this, and a lot of information came out of that. And Jennifer Carter, this question is going to be posed to you to begin with. One of the pieces of data that came out of that was that, and we've talked about housing tonight, more than half of the residents in Middletown rent rather than own their own home. And the committee thought that was a high number that was kind of a barrier in Middletown for growth. The question would be, with so much rental as compared with home ownership, as a council member, is there anything that you can do to try to sway that number back where we have more homeowners versus more renters?
Yes, the city has a program now where you can borrow or receive a grant for up to $10,000 to purchase your home. And I think with the city council could probably add more to that fund so that more families will be able to purchase their homes. I know in Ohio, and I just read that the statistics that 64% of ownership for Ohio, and I think the highest that we have here, ownership of homes was 55%. So yes, I think to purchase, being able to purchase more homes would be advantageous through the council, and we could toss that around to see.
Zack, Ferrell, same question. How do we sway as a council person? How do you use the resources and tools as city councilman to sway, to change from renting to owning?
I volunteer every year at the high school and go talk to the kids about, you know, do you want to buy a house one day? And I just did this a couple months ago, and I guess last year at this point, but I asked the kids, who knows if their parent owns their home? 3 out of maybe 25 kids raised their hand. We have to start talking to the youth about it. That's first. Second off, I am proud to say we're 51% home ownership rate, so we've gotten that number up a little bit. That helps. For the first time in a long time, we can afford to, we have 4 vacant plots of land throughout Middletown right now. And it's financially feasible to build on these lots for the first time in a very long time. And with the way the market is, it's not going to last forever. So we need to act now. We need to tax abate some of these houses so we can get new people into Middletown and then keep the ones that are here. This year so far, there have been 39 sales from $250,000 to $350,000. We need to keep those people here.
All right, Julia Lewis-Smith, I'm going to flip the coin on here, kind of change a little bit here. Given the last statement and good answers from both candidates, studies show that young people are not buying houses because maybe they saw what their parents went through 10 years ago. Oh, we lost our house because of the downturn, or for whatever reason. But younger people are looking for luxury apartments. They want all the amenities. They don't want to take care of the yard, clean the snow. So would you be, as a city council person, in favor of rezoning? And I say rezoning because Middletown, I don't think, has a lot in the way of multifamily property available. I think there are some spots, but I can't tell you specifically where they are or how much we have. But let's say a developer, and for pure transparency, I'm not involved in building any apartments. Would you be in favor as a city council person about rezoning property for high-end apartments to attract younger people to Middletown?
I don't think that's the concern, is that they need to be high-end to attract them. I think the city itself has to be an attraction to the young people. They have to see the value in the city, what the city has to offer them to make them want to stay and invest in the city, being that listening to what they want. We can assume that they want a high-end apartment when They could just simply want a community that's thriving, where their neighbors' houses aren't boarded up, or that there isn't trash in the yard. That could be an incentive to get young people to want to invest here. My thing is, until you can get the people excited about the city and what the city is doing, you won't get the people investing in the city.
Okay, Joe Mulligan, same question. Is providing for a high-end apartment versus let's say a subsidized apartment? So we're going high-end with all the amenities, the pool, the spas, things you see in other communities. Is that something Middletown should?
I think you look, I don't know if I can make a blanket statement. I think you look at it case by case and see what is the area. I know that's a potential for the town mall redevelopment, that residential would be a part of that, and that could be a really nice amenity, and that could support the retail and restaurants that would be part of the town mall redevelopment. As a city, we have to bring up the homeownership rate because that's what will help stabilize neighborhoods. It'll benefit the schools. It benefits our tax base. How do we do that? Infill housing is one. Some financial incentives, providing perhaps down payment assistance to city employees or school teachers, things along those lines to help them live in the community where they work and be more fully invested here. That would be great. But the other component is a good, solid park system, and that helps to rebuild a neighborhood and supports the community. So we're working on those things with the Parks Master Plan and looking forward to allocate some more capital improvements to the parks.
Rodney Muterspaw, final word with you. What would you say? Developer comes in and says, we want to rezone, we want to put 300 luxury apartments somewhere in Middletown. Was that something you'd favorably upon as a council member or what? Well,
the current council's done a really good job with this. I follow that closely. I'm not as apt to be excited about apartments as an owner-occupied, because that's what you want in the city is owner-occupied. We don't need a lot more rentals. The land bank out of Butler County, I think they've demolished or refurbished up to 400 properties in Hamilton and Middletown over the last few years. So to go with what Julia said, she made a great point. If you have those gone, you're going to attract people here. That's so important. As far as the zoning part of it, you have to sit with zoning and see what they're doing and get with the city manager because I don't know what the grand plan is on that. I do agree with the matching grants. Right now, I know if you buy a home in Middletown or Hamilton, you can get a grant for $5,000. I believe Jennifer brought that up. But why don't the city match something like that to encourage people to do that? I know they've done that in the past, but it's something that it's doable. If we spend the money, that's going to bring money in.
All right, thank you. Zach Farrell, new question for you. And this is one that became news this week. Lights, camera, action. So it's gotten attention not only here, but across the Midwest. Now, this property involves former industrial buildings, former industrial sites in downtown. As a member of council, what would be your biggest reason for saying yes or for saying no?
Biggest reason for yes is opportunity. I think it's simple. It brings jobs. It brings people. You know, if you read the headline, just like anything in the newspaper, it sounds great, right? Reasons for no. I think there's holes in the plan still, which obviously I've not been in the back alley meetings per se, but, you know, I've not been behind closed doors. So I don't know everything going on with it. However, I think we have infrastructure issues as far as you look at Light Up Middletown. Light Up Middletown brings in way less people on a weekend night. And I just don't see how traffic concerns, public safety concerns, those types of issues. And for the plan to actually work, I've ran the numbers on it. We'd have to have 30% of the area population visiting this place. And I just need to see more on it.
Thank you. Julia Lewis-Smith, your take on what would it take for you to say yes versus what's it going to take for you to say no?
Well, that's a great question. Yes, I do believe it would bring employment opportunities. However, after speaking to several people, bus drivers, teachers, random people in the grocery store about this issue, my take is this for no. I believe it will create a bigger divide in Middletown between the haves and the have-nots, because I don't think that this is a project that many people in Middletown would be able to afford to participate in or to patronize. I do believe that it's on too large of a scale. I think money could be spent better used somewhere else with education, with housing, than with the grandiosity of this plan. Maybe if it was on a smaller scale, just to test the waters, yes, but it doesn't fit the culture of Middletown. I think we could use the money wisely somewhere else.
Joe Mulligan, on this same topic of Hollywood land, what kind of due diligence would you want to see before acting upon such an undertaking? We're talking.
Well, Lenny, I would have to just speak generally about that, but yeah, every council needs to do due diligence, and the staff certainly leads the charge on that. But after the presentation Tuesday, it became clear that there could be potential conflicts. So I did consult legal counsel and the Ohio Ethics Commission, and based on some advisory opinions, I think I'll just refrain from further comment on Hollywood land.
Rodney Muterspaw.
Yeah, you know, before the presentation, I was here and I watched it. I was, you know, I was for it to a point. After the presentation, I don't know. I wasn't impressed. I thought there was a lot of questions that the developers just could not answer or would not answer, which made me skeptical. It's a lot of money to put down. And one thing I'm hearing is it's not going to cost Middletown taxpayers a dime, and I don't believe that, because infrastructure, roads have to be, Main Street will be a 4-lane road. Reinhardt's 4-lane, it's going to change everything, so that's not going to be free. I'm all for, you know, the development. We have to have a shot in the arm in this city because we're sinking. We have to do something, and I hope this is it, but I got to hear more. I just didn't hear anything to make me jump up and down over it. Also, hearing the people speak that day, it was obvious the people who came and spoke, I think 90% of the people spoke against it. They had no idea what was going on with this thing, and they feel left out. And if you're going to ignore the people, you shouldn't be in government.
Final word, Jennifer Carter. What would you want to see as due diligence if you're a city council member on this project?
I agree with Rodney. I'm sorry. I just,
You're sorry you agree with Rodney?
Jennifer. What the heck, Jennifer?
no, I'm just saying, I'm sorry I don't really have a full answer for this because I agree with Rodney. This, Hollywood land, I think there's other areas that we need to spend money on. We have a great homeless problem here in Middletown, and so I can see, no.
Okay.
I don't think I would go with this.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. Now we'll move on. Julia Lewis-Smith, my question for you is, some would say that Middletown's best days are behind us. You know, we were an all-American city. We had tremendous growth that we all experienced, well, my age experienced. And then Forbes magazine came out in the late 2000s. We're the worst place to live. What do you say?
I say that they haven't been to Middletown and met the people of Middletown. We are an all-American city. We have a motto of a bright past and a brighter future, and that's what I would like to see for Middletown. I feel like some of the answers to our problems are right here in the community. What I mean by that is there are people in the community that have answers and great ideas for the city, but they just don't trust that their voice matter, or that their vote matter, or that they matter. We have to change that narrative. It's time for a change. Because Middletown has always been a city of connection, from the use of the former Miami-Erie canal to connect the goods and livestocks, to the downtown area being a connecting point for African Americans for freedom as a hub for the Underground Railroad, to Sorg being a multimillionaire in Middletown. So
We'll have to stop you right
there. You go.
Joe Mulligan, your question. What do you say? All-American city, worst place to live? What are we?
No, that was unfortunate. I do remember 2007 reports of that article. I thought it was unfair because it was a snapshot in time where there was some labor strife at AK Steel and the lockout, and that artificially deflated our average income. But no, I mean, but also it was a punch to the guts that said, you know, Middletown, you need to get your act together. And I think we have. You know, since that time, $1 billion of new commercial investment since 2011. We're growing as a city population, number 4th as far as Cincinnati area communities for housing starts. So people are starting to wake up to the fact that this is a great place to live, especially if you're not from here. I do talk to new members of the community on the campaign trail. You have a husband and wife that are, one works in Dayton, one in Cincinnati, affordable housing stock, huge, you know, large yards, which are key, well-built homes, and friendly neighbors. So we can do a better job with community pride and getting that word out.
All right, Rodney Muterspaw, what say you on where is Middletown?
It's not dead. You ever drive down, you know, Smith Park or Douglas Park on a Saturday? They're packed. It's not dead. This city's got soul, and it's got something that other cities don't have. The cities around us are newer cities. But, you know, and we talk about this all the time. I've talked with a couple of the candidates here, is why can't we embrace what we are and quit trying to be what we're not? We're trying to become something we're not. This is a blue-collar steel town that's traditional, generational, hardworking people, and we're trying to be other things. And we should not try to be other things. Be ourselves, and we're failing in that regard. And I've preached that for years. I love the city with a passion. I'll never leave it. I had chances to leave and go be the chief elsewhere, and I stayed for a reason, for a lot less money, because this is a great city. We're not dead.
All right. Let me ask the same question of you, Jennifer Carter. We were the all-American city. We were the worst place in Ohio. Where are we? What do you say?
I think Middletown is beautiful, and we have a great history. And with us all working together, I think we'll continue to thrive. You know, we can all put our works together in one bucket and become all-American city again. I don't think that's gone. I believe in Middletown. I was born and raised here, so I truly believe. And I think we'll become a thriving city. We just change government a little bit, put in different people, because everybody's got an opinion, everybody has a voice, so I think things will get better.
Zack, Farrell, last word.
Best part about this city is the people. That's why I moved back. I care about the people here. Like I said earlier, I bleed purple. Always have, probably always will. My campaign slogan, vision and hope driven by dreams. If we get a vision, a long-term sustainable vision, I think this city can be anything it wants to because the people are willing to work here. We don't have an issue with hardworking people here. We have an issue, our child poverty rate's 40%, our city poverty rate's 25%. If we get that vision back in Middletown, if we can create jobs, attract the right type of businesses here, because we have the right people, I know we do. If we get the right components in place, I think we are an all-American city again. Nobody can argue something else to me.
That's a great way to end this forum because due to time constraints, we're coming up against the clock. So we're going to begin. Joe Mulligan, it's your turn. You have 2 minutes for closing statements.
Well, thank you again to my colleagues up here and the folks on the government relations board of the chamber that put this together. I appreciate that. But I am here humbled and grateful for the opportunity to have served as your city councilman. For me, it's just been a great honor to serve my hometown in this capacity. I love it here. You know, my family's here. I don't want to be anywhere else. And I just ask the community and the voters, please look at my track record in business, in public service, in community service. You know, City Council is not the only nonprofit that I serve. You know, working with the YMCA, the Performing Arts Academy, to name a few, Middletown area neediest youth. So, and again, the track record on service on Middletown City Council, $1 billion of new commercial investment, 7 straight years of increased income tax collections, number 4 among Cincinnati area communities for new housing starts. Just this year, $50 million in new permits. Folks, we're headed in the right direction. I'm helping to lead Middletown's comeback. I hope you can see that. The data points show it. We're taking care of our infrastructure, 200 lane miles, a third of our city streets, $51 million. We're reinvesting in public safety, adding to those numbers. investing in capital for public safety between new fire equipment, new fire stations. I feel like we're good stewards of the public trust, good stewards of the public fisc. And that's why I'm excited about Middletown's future. We're taking a lot of the problems. We're taking care of a lot of the problems, but there's more work to do for sure. And I'm excited about the opportunity to do that. So I appreciate the time tonight. And again, vote Joe Mulligan for City Council.
Thank you. Rodney Muterspaw, your closing statement.
That was nice, Joe. It was nice. I don't know if I can top that. But
What he said, right?
yeah. So, I just want to say thank everybody for coming, especially the candidates, because we said this at the last forum. I don't think you can go wrong with anybody up here. And I think everybody's up here because they have a passion for Middletown and they love it. I know I've had lunch or dinner and talked with several people in here, and we all have the same goals, and that's the beauty of it. You know, one thing that I just want to stress is where I'm a little bit different than some is, you know, I've stood with the most powerful people in Washington, D.C. at the Capitol and the Library of Congress, but I've also stood in the welfare line with my mother hoping for government assistance. So I can see both sides of life. I've been there. Yeah, it's one of these things where I think it's always helped me do better in my former career and now to see what everybody goes through and what they do. And a lot of you I've known since I was a little kid. You fed me at your house when I was a little boy, and you know, I'll never forget that. And that's where my passion comes from. It comes from people taking care of us, whether it was the church ladies bringing us dinner or somebody helping pay our rent. That's why I feel obligated to Middletown, I always will. And that's why I love it and I fight for it. Nobody has fought harder for Middletown than me over the last 30 years. I can promise you that. We take a beating sometimes, but it's our city and we love it. You know, we need a spark. Things right now are stagnant. There's some problems, and we're divided more than we've ever been. And I forget which one said it. It might have been Julia. We are. This city is divided. If you were here at the council meeting last week, you would see what I'm talking about. It's divided, and there's a problem, and we need new leadership. We have to have it, or it's not going to get any better. So I just want to throw that out there to you. If you vote for me, great. I'll fight for you. If you don't vote for me, and I'm lucky enough to get elected, I'll still fight for you. It doesn't matter. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Jennifer Carter, your 2 minutes for your closing statement.
We have a wonderful history, and I think we have an even better future. We talk about divide, and I can't see a divide. And I don't know why I can't see this division. It may be because some things have always been where I myself grew up here in Middletown and grew up in a loving family. My mother was there for me. My father lived in Chicago, came home occasionally, but still, this divide that we keep talking about, I'm just baffled by that. I can see things such as our lifestyles, which are different, healthy, to be able to even live in a city where you have healthy lifestyles that does not occur. And I think that comes from our grocery stores, of how we are able to purchase food. I think that it's a community that continues to thrive. I think sometimes when you make changes in those who run the city, then I think you can see something different. But sometimes, you know, you need to do a change of the guard. And I think that helps. I can remember when Obama ran and I said, why can't someone different get in there and let us see how things will work? I truly believe in Ohio's state motto, with God, all things are possible. Thank everyone for coming here and sitting with us, listening to us, and make our presentation.
Thank you. Zack Farrell, your closing remarks.
Thanks again, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it once again. Everybody in here is invested in the city, and means a lot. Once again, why should people vote for me for city council? What I can tell you is I was up until 5 a.m. doing research on Hollywood land. I'm a numbers-based person. I'm analytically based. I want to know all the information possible before I come to somewhere with a conclusion. I have these statistics written down, which probably nobody cares about, but it's, you know, they want to bring 3.5 million people here a year. Mount Rushmore gets less than $2 million. The St. Louis Arch, or 2 million people. The St. Louis Arch gets 2.1 million people. If people have visited those places, they know how busy they are. I love the idea of Hollywoodland, but is that who we are as a city? I would love the jobs and I would love the tax income, but what I want to do is make Middletown the best version of itself. I moved back to make the change that I want to see. I moved back to bring my friends back, and I moved back to keep the generation that's here and for Middletown to thrive long term. We have to invest in the children. The European countries invest 2.5% of their income on their children. We invest 1%. And we wonder why there's teenage shootings all the time. Until we fix the child poverty rate, until we fix the foundational issues of Middletown, the socioeconomic issues, nothing is going to change. Like Rodney said, I've been on both ends of the spectrum. I've been from the lows of the lows to the highs of the highs. I've invested in Middletown since I was 22 years old. I've bought up properties, I've fixed them up in different neighborhoods, and I don't just make them nice inside, I make them nice on the outside so everybody can see how great Middletown is.
Thank you. Julia Lewis-Smith, your final remarks.
Well, it's appropriate that I would go last. Being the youngest of 10 children, I've always went last.
Touche.
Thank you all for coming and listening to, you know, all of the candidates and what we had to say tonight. I am kind of a little between everyone. I am a little of Rodney. I grew up in 18th Projects. I had the help of the community, of church members helping feed my family or adopting my family for Christmas and providing toys and things for us that we couldn't have dreamed of receiving, although both of my parents worked very hard and had 2 jobs. So Jennifer, I also grew up in a loving family that supported me, but most important was that it was a community that supported me. There was a sense of community. That's what we have to create in Middletown again. We can build buildings, we can bring about Hollywood land, but it's the people that makes Middletown. And we have to do better by the people of Middletown. We have to provide shelter for our homeless and provide transition homes for our chemically dependent citizens so that we can stop that cycle of drugs to homelessness to rehab to homelessness. It's a cycle that's vicious that we need to stop. We have property. We have control over property. I would like to see the city take that property and partner with Butler Tech and rehab these homes instead of demolishing these homes and use them for that purpose. I would also, and it can also be used for affordable housing so home ownership becomes a reality, no longer a dream, but a reality. I value your voice. I value your vote, and I value you. I am Julia Lewis-Smith. I am from the city. I have passion for the city, and I will work hard for the people in the city. Thank you.
Those are your candidates for Middletown City Council coming up on November 2nd. There are 2 seats and 5 candidates, and I just want to make this personal observation for all of you watching. I've been doing this for a long time. These 5 candidates tonight really showed a passion and a commitment to their candidacy, one of the best prepared forums that we've ever had, and you are all to be congratulated because you all had tremendous responses. Made my job easy, and that was good, so I thank all of you. So it is a tough decision for the voters of the city of Middletown. You've got 5 quality candidates, and I don't think there's a bum steer among them. It's a great slate of candidates. It's going to be a tough decision, no doubt. So on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce serving Middletown, Monroe, and Trenton, I'm Lenny Robinson saying, don't forget to vote. November 2nd, vote for 2 of these 5 great candidates. So long and good night.
Julia Lewis-Smith.
Man.